Welcome to Verso Alto Podcast, a podcast for teens by teens. Today Theresa, Mari, and I are going to talk about our trips to Rome and some other towns and cities that we visited during our stay.
Italian. It's all Italian all the time. Okay, so you guys went for Christmas.
Yeah.
Went to go see your sister that was studying abroad. So when did you find out that you were going to Rome?
It was something that we talked about. It got discussed, and then I think even before we went to Woodley's Day, we were going to go. So
we were still discussing it, but I think it became final like a couple months after. We were on the edge for a little bit because of finals and stuff right before. But yeah,
all right,
for a while.
Yeah.
So how was the travel?
It was good. The time change is definitely something that
you're still dealing with.
Really rough. It was rough when we got there, and it took 2 weeks to get used to it. Like right before we left, we got used to it, and then come back, and we're still not
the traveling time. If you live in Alaska or a cold state, you will be fine going to Rome in December. The temperature was like high 50s, low 60s, and it was sunny every single day, even though it does rain. It was beautiful weather, and there weren't a lot of people. So if you want to see Peter's Basilica and be the first ones in on Christmas morning, like my dad and brother were, you can do that. But traveling through the airport and everything, it was not crowded. We left at the perfect time. And waiting in line for customs and all that stuff did not take long at all. So I think our trip was well planned time-wise.
You know what? I just realized I went for Easter. You guys went for Christmas. So yeah, we can actually tell people what to expect on these major Catholic holidays. You know, okay, great. So where'd you guys stay?
We stayed like 10 minutes walk from St. Peter's Basilica.
For the first 5 days?
Yeah, and then we were in an Airbnb, and then we went on a train to Assisi.
Stayed for 2 nights.
Yeah.
And then we went to Orvieto,
which was my favorite. It was
2
just
nights,
1 night. And then
2 nights, but 1 day.
And then we went back to Rome to fly.
Right. Okay. So tell us everything about your trip. We don't have a lot of time. And then I'll jump in there about my trip because I'm not as important as you guys are. So, but yeah, I'd love to hear the contrast between Christmas and Easter, especially at the Vatican.
So Rome, most of Europe is very culturally Catholic. So there is Christmas. It's like a Hallmark movie. There's greenery, like tree.
Everyone's wearing scarves.
Every Christmas decoration you can think of everywhere, which made it so alive. And there's a giant Christmas tree and life-size nativity scene in St. Peter's Square. And I mean, people set nativity scenes on their doorstep.
Yeah.
It's just beautiful.
By the way, Brogan is here with us, and he might jump in here once in a while with a question. So don't freak out if you hear a deep voice. Okay, so nativity.
The voice of God.
Okay, so nativity scenes on every doorstep. Go on.
So on every doorstep, I wouldn't say. There were a lot out, but it wasn't. Yeah. It wasn't like all the restaurants and stuff had them. They definitely were out for a while and stuff.
And then at night, it was so pretty. Yeah. They would project different like religious things, so a nativity or a saint visiting a nativity, or just a starry sky on the cathedrals at night.
In Assisi and Orvieto, they didn't do it on St.
But it was so pretty, and they had lights like outside hanging down when you walked around at night. So the culture was very Christmas and deal.
And then there was a papal blessing on Christmas Day, as there is the Angelus every day, I think. And so we went to the one on Christmas and Christmas Eve, actually. And that was really cool because that was really cool because the whole, I think it was the Vatican, like all their forces came marching
like the
through.
Swiss Guard.
Came
right.
marching through the street, and their band was playing, and it was so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they had for Easter Sunday,
Mm-hmm.
they had every single armed force of the Vatican and their full band there.
Yeah.
And so the Swiss Guard isn't just the Swiss Guard. You're like, oh my gosh, they
Yeah.
have like an army and an air force
Yeah,
and a
it's
Marines. And
so
I'm like,
cool.
where'd they all come from? And they all have really cool uniforms. And then they just stand for the entire liturgy and they don't move. And you're, wow.
Except for the
Crazy.
Swiss Guard. They kneel for the consecration.
Oh,
Or
well,
they
actually, everybody kneels for the consecration. But the fact that they were just like, just there, but yes, you're right. They do move.
this was
They-
in a very
they-
ceremonial
They
way.
have, yeah, they do kneel for the consecration.
That's good.
But I never expected that. And my husband and I are like, where'd all these guys come from? And when we looked at their uniforms and saw the insignias on them and everything, I'm like, oh my gosh, that's the Vatican Air Force. And that's the Vatican Army. Oh my word, So yeah, don't even think about taking them.
Well, and you estimate
That it's a
the
country.
forces.
Right. It's a full country,
So when's the next trip?
So, unfortunately, our family found out 3 days before Christmas that we did not get into midnight.
It's probably better for us because you're crashing at like 5.
Yeah.
So
True. But there's, I think, 4 churches that are like people. Churches are, I don't know, they have some importance to the Vatican.
Mhm.
But we went to Christmas Eve Mass at the official Church of Divine Mercy.
Okay.
And there was
Yeah.
Sister Faustina's sister. It was super cool. And then there were the other Sisters of Divine Mercy there too. And it was in English, so we understood everything. And the church was beautiful. It was small, but all the artwork, statues, all of
Yeah.
it was gorgeous. And of course, all the churches are highly decorated.
Right.
Christmas.
yeah, and it was hardly a block from St. Peter's.
Mhm.
So it wasn't far at all.
Did you go to St. John Lateran?
No.
Because that's the seat of the Bishop of Rome. So it's actually not very close to Vatican City at all. I'm sure it's a pretty good, we had to take a taxi, but I told my husband, I said, I want to go to St. John Lateran. He goes, why? And I had to explain to him, I said, well, you know how all bishops have a cathedral or basilica, that's their seat, their home parish per se.
Mhm.
And that's where the Bishop of Rome has his seat. And so he was like, oh, okay, let's go see, Pope Francis's church, right? And we went in and the statues of the
Was that in
apostles.
St. Mary Major?
No, it's a different one. Good question, though. I mean, I was thinking it was when I first went. Anyway, the statues of the apostles are more than 12 feet tall. They have to be 20 feet tall.
Wow.
And I thought when I'm standing there next to him, I'm like, I got to get pictures of this. What I did is I waited until a person walked by so that you get the perspective
Mm-hmm.
of the statue. And I was showing Brogan some of the pictures. One of them, my favorite is St. Bartholomew, because each of the apostles is they're pictured or carved with the unless, or like St. Peter, he holds the keys, but he's not crucified upside down. But St. Bartholomew is holding his skin, his image of his face. And that was amazing. So yeah, I was showing Brogan pictures of that, but St. John Lateran, just beautiful. You're right. Like every church in Rome, stunning.
Yeah.
Some of them
and
are just
lovely.
on the side of the road, and you would
Right.
never know. Like the
Uh-huh.
ecstasy of Saint Theresa of Avila. Is that
Yeah.
her? Yeah, it's just like
You wouldn't have known. It's
of
just
the
like,
town.
yeah.
You walk in, and it's just super famous sculpture, and you would never know. it
And we
was
come
a-
back here and there's
Well, and Americans think simple. I know a lot of people when they come to St. Elizabeth Ann Seton Parish, especially if they're not Catholic, they're coming to a funeral. I've heard several times when they walk in, like, this is a Catholic church. You know, where's the artwork? Where's all the stained glass windows? Where's all this stuff?
We love some state.
We do. I mean, we're lucky to have that. But okay, so what else did you do?
So in St. Peter's Basilica, we got to go up not only to the level that Christ and all the apostles are on, but we got to go to inside the dome, and then we got to go to the highest point you can go in St. Peter's, and it was very cool, and you could see all the way around. And there's some gardens that you could see in the Vatican area. That there was one that was the crest of the Catholic Church, which is really cool to see as a garden.
So it's all done in flowers and stuff, so that you can see.
I think it was just in the bushes
grass?
and stuff. It was all green but different colored. Yeah,
And there were also the neon tropical birds.
there
that you
were
could see
some
in the
green
sun.
tropical birds.
They have some really cool birds.
Yes.
All right. Did you go through the Vatican Museum?
Yes, that was one of my favorite things in Rome.
Yeah, it was. We were all trying not to. I felt bad for our tour guide. We were all trying not to fall asleep. We went after they closed to public, I think, and had a private tour. But yeah, it was really cool to see. The Sistine Chapel is a lot smaller.
I thought it was small, and going
thought it
in
was
there
bigger.
was like, whoa.
So when you went into the Sistine Chapel, how many people were in?
Like there was one
Five?
big-ish group, but then our family and
I hate you very
it was
much.
like no
So
one in
we
there.
love
yeah,
you
right
some
before
trees.
Easter, like yes, we went. It was the day after Palm Sunday. We went.
Yeah.
And it was packed, but we had a private tour. And we kept hearing from our tour guide, and I had heard from lots of friends that you are not allowed to speak and you're not allowed to take any pictures. And my husband and I were devastated that when we walked in there, there were at least like 300 people, and everybody was talking, everybody was taking pictures. And it just seemed like it just breaks your heart, you know, like you didn't really get out of it what you wanted. And the way we came in from our tour,
Did you go like in the front where
we came in back ways. So you didn't get to see, like, get the whole picture that you would if you were like a cardinal or a bishop or whatever walking in and then going there for like a conclave or even like to pray. And so we passed the stove and didn't see it until we were like turned around to leave, and we were like, you know, so my husband was a little bummed about that whole thing, and he was just so sad, you know. So I had to cheer him up by bringing him to Pietà. So that made him happy.
Yeah.
And so when you went into the Basilica, what was your favorite part?
Sure.
For me, I think we didn't spend the amount of time that I thought we would have in there. But I had really loved seeing all the artwork and going to a classical school. A lot of the stuff, especially in the Vatican Museum, I knew already. But my older sister was like giving us our own tour around and explaining like why the artist put this in this painting, and I think it's St. Jerome receiving his last communion and just the way that the artist depicted him and all of these things. So it was cool, and it's massive and so beautiful, and you want to look up, but your neck gets sore. And
I think that's what the architects want you to do, is look towards heaven. But yes, yeah.
It was a really beautiful basilica.
Did you see in the center aisle down that they had names of different basilicas and then like little diamond marble pieces?
Yeah.
So you know what that meant, right?
Like that's how
big they are in comparison to St. Peter's. So I've been to Our Lady of Aparecida, Sao Paulo, Brazil, and it is massive. I thought nothing I could ever see in my entire life would ever be bigger than that. And as soon as we walked out of the museum into the basilica, our tour guide was explaining to me the center aisle, what those mean. Our Lady of Aparecida was like right there. And then I looked to my left and I saw the doors way far away and the altar piece with all the pillars and everything is way far away. And I'm thinking, goodness gracious, this is much, much bigger than our Lady of Apostles. It's just unbelievable to me, how much people love God so much that they have to make something so beautiful and so big so that so many people can come and adore.
Yeah. I liked that being able to know Latin a little bit. I could translate all the way from the edges.
Oh, that's awesome.
So I really enjoyed doing that. And from up high, we couldn't see all of them. But then when we went down, it's like, oh, Mom, this is this and this and this. So I got pretty excited.
I also love how they have the sculptures of all the virtues.
Oh, yeah.
That was cool.
And did you go downstairs and see St. Benedict or not Pope Benedict? Sorry.
Yes.
I had to say hi.
And
He's like one of my
we went
faves.
to the tombs. Yeah.
Good. Awesome.
So we went all the way down.
Yeah.
Did you go around the outside arms where they have the other saints that you can walk down? Did you get permission?
No.
Okay. Because some people can.
But when you go up there, you realize how big they are.
Yeah.
It's so
Yeah.
fascinating.
They're just massive. Absolutely. All right. So after the Vatican, what else did you see in Rome? Did you go to?
Oh, we went to the Colosseum.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, good. Yeah, I did
We
that
went
too.
all the way up.
Uh-huh. Did you go all the way down?
No, we did not go under.
The belly of the beast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where
Yeah,
they
we
kept-
started at the very, very bottom. And engineering wise, it's amazing
Yeah,
what
No,
they
the
have done.
Romans knew how to
They
do
were
everything.
so smart. There's actually
Unbelievable.
a group of, I think they're engineers who are trying to replicate the trap door that let in wild beasts. Like,
Yeah, but
just
they
out
had-
of
They had
And they
elevators.
drained
They had to
water,
bring up
they're-
like
elephants.
like
You
a very, very hard time trying to figure out how they did this with
Right,
weight distribution
exactly.
and all that
Mhm.
stuff, and how they let the animal in with. It's crazy to think of how they did that
Mhm.
without
Likewise, they had, like-
technology.
When they had water sports in the Coliseum, they had like ships.
like naval
Sick.
battles,
Like,
like
where's that today? Like, I want to see some like
They filled it
IRL
with
battleship.
water.
like
Yes,
6
and
feet
then-
of water, and then the slaves would drown when they.
For the
And maybe not
opening,
sing.
they had it filled with water in the morning and completely drained by the afternoon to have gladiator
Yeah,
fights.
yeah.
And
where'd the water
people are still like puzzled on how
go? How
they
that happened, yeah.
It's aliens,
that.
bro.
Right. And then the emperors would be there and go, okay, now if we do the battle this way or that way, I mean, it's like his own war room,
Yeah.
Yes.
It's just amazing to me,
Mm.
But they didn't have, it wasn't just were persecuted Christians. They actually did a lot of entertaining, and
yes.
stuff there. So yeah, the Colosseum was amazing. And did you go to the fountain? Or what is?
No, we didn't. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Or wait,
'Cause
maybe
it's-
we did.
It's
Oh,
right
yeah.
near the U.S. Bishop's office.
I think we did.
So-
We went to a fountain.
Was it that?
There were a bunch of carvings of.
Yeah,
It was like the water
It's-
came out of
yeah,
a
it's
huge
like-
wall of
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I forgot the name of the fountain, but everybody goes there, throws their coins in there.
I did not throw a coin.
And then the other things, well, tell me about what's the food?
Oh, the
Some
pizza is way better. Like the
French
sauce,
tomato sauce.
it's way more tomatoey
Right.
than American like jarred or even canned tomato sauce.
Can you ever eat American pizza again?
Well, we just had spaghetti before we came here, and it was not the same.
Sorry, Mom.
It's very fresh.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love.
Mhm.
And then we went to a cooking class on Christmas Day and made pasta and ravioli and tiramisu. It was the best food I've ever
So
eaten.
next youth group, you're bringing.
Well,
Well, so you
did that. I already did
I
that.
missed out.
Yeah.
I'm
Sorry.
sorry. You missed out.
Yeah. So I taught everybody in youth group how to make Italian pasta and sauce and tiramisu. And everybody got to make their own tiramisu and bring it. So, yeah.
Yeah.
I think Henry got a couple of
But we had so much
We had
tiramisu. We
so
had
much
it for like
tiramisu left. All right. So you left Rome and you went to Assisi.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
Yeah. So we went and saw St. Clair and St. Francis Church.
they
Yeah.
have a bunch of relics and stuff like what they wore in St. Catherine or St. Clair's hair. It's really curly and
They still have it like in
when she got
yeah.
her hair.
So now this is where I get really jealous. St. Francis is my confirmation saint.
Oh,
though.
yeah, you should go.
The
Absolutely. I actually
churches
do have
are
a relic of St.
beautiful.
Clair.
Awesome.
How does Assisi? So comparing it to Rome, not in regards to like architecture or anything, but like the atmosphere.
So most people go there are more like Catholic or Christian because you would go there to see these saints. And it's built in the mountains, so it's very hilly.
Not very many
It's a
downhills.
very pretty, beautiful.
A lot of cobblestone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All the buildings are super old and
Right.
they're all bright. And I loved Assisi. It was
Air quality isn't much. It's all the same.
It's all
but
the
it's a, there's so many. We probably only saw half of the churches. There's
Yeah.
Right.
millions.
So you saw St. Francis, St. Clair, and Blessed Carlo Acutis, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Although,
Did you go to the church that he is at?
Yeah.
yeah. So
Okay.
we went to the church that he
And you can see
at.
his body. He is not
Mhm.
an incorruptible, but he's been like oiled and they
waxed.
made a face for him like we did face. So he looks like you can just go up to him.
He
and,
was decomposing before they did that,
Yeah.
though, but it had only been like a year.
and then is it St. Clair? Or I don't know what church, but they have his heart encased in a golden.
Yeah.
Oh, Carlo Acutis.
Yes,
They have his
yes.
heart somewhere else.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Uh-huh.
his body's one place, his heart's another place.
Okay, Mari, tell me about your favorite place, which is
Orvieto.
and why.
I like the environment of Orvieto. It might have just been the time that we were there, but the church that we went to, first of all, there's the Eucharistic miracle there that we got to see is open 4 times a year. And
Christmas, Easter, Corpus Christi.
and then there's one other. Yeah.
Summer.
But they started the Feast of Corpus Christi because of the miracle that happened near Orvieto. Also, the Pope used to go to Orvieto. One
If
of them
the
lived
Vatican
there.
or Rome was under attack, they would go live in Orvieto.
It's very geographically
Safe, built
Mm.
up high, and the walls are so high. And my dad was having us like look down and say, if you were supposed to come up and like shoot arrows or attack this city, and someone from up high shooting here, you would die. Like, there's no way that you can attack this city.
The church was not my favorite, like, pretty wise.
Oh, I know.
It had, so when it was built, its stripes were in fashion. And so it is a striped church.
It's a zebra.
Yeah.
It's
And-
Saint Santa Maria
the-
Stella or Saint Mary of the Stars or something.
yeah. But the front is very beautiful. There is the Jesse tree, Jesse at the bottom, and then it goes up. There's a story of creation.
It's
There's
so cool. The
Yeah.
carvings, like God takes Eve out of Adam's rib. He's
He,
opening him up and like sucking
Yeah.
Eve out. It's
yeah.
so incredible. And then they have the Revelation, and the artist who did it, he put 2 Franciscan friars like going to hell and like symbolizing like you can even be like religious and still. And then he put himself going up to heaven.
Of course. So the Eucharistic miracle was a priest on.
Bishop.
Oh, it was a bishop? Well, either way, he was a priest.
That's
But-
true.
So he was doubting. He was having trouble with his faith. So he goes on this pilgrimage and he's walking near Orvieto and he doubts the transubstantiation as he's like doing it. And he breaks the
He
bread.
was asked to do math.
Yeah. And he doubts it as he's like doing the transubstantiation. And he breaks the bread and 25 drops of AB blood drop onto the cloth. And so then he brings that to Orvieto and they have it tested and stuff. Now it's still there and you can still kind of see the blood stains, which was really cool to be able to see that. And that's like a Eucharistic miracle still preserved today. And I mean, many are, but it's cool to actually see one.
That's awesome.
And then
It's encased in a golden
Yeah.
box, and the linen, the fibers are very sensitive to light. And they used to have it open all the time, but then they started realizing it started breaking down fast, so they have it closed and in darkness as much as it can be, and then they open it up for Christmas and Easter and Corpus Christi. And actually, Corpus Christi came from this Eucharistic miracle, which is super.
And then in this church, there's also a chapel, which is nicknamed the Mini Sistine Chapel. And that is my favorite chapel out of our whole trip.
It's where
so
Michelangelo got
pretty.
inspiration to paint the Sistine.
Yeah. Yes.
Right.
So there's Jesus right in front, and then there's saints on the side, and then it's the story of Revelation, basically. And so they have the Antichrist, and there's a couple specific people pictured there. And like many artists do, they picture people they know or that are popular or whatever. And then on the other side, there's a picture of heaven or
the
people,
day of judgment.
yeah, the day of judgment. Yes. And so people getting their bodies back on the right hand side and like being happy with that. Even the skeletons are smiling. And then there's hell on the other side. And the artist puts himself in hell as a demon carrying a woman to the gates of hell. And which is interesting. But each of the demons have a specific person that they are trying to shove into the gates of hell. And then as soon as they're in the gates of hell, they figure out what like ring of hell they're going to.
Oh, they have, if you read Dante's Inferno, they have that first scene where Dante and Virgil are at the pool, and then they have, I forgot his name, it starts with an M. He's the one that judges what ring of hell you need to be in, and he wraps his tail around his body, what level. So if it's like 3 times you're in circle 3, whatever. So he painted that scene as part of the.
And then there's angels guarding hell so no one comes in, no one goes.
Or above hell.
Yeah, like guarding above hell. And then, yeah, that was really cool. And on the other side, next to the Antichrist, the right, is heaven and saints and stuff. That was really cool.
Well, how long did you get to stay in there?
As long as we were.
Wow.
There weren't
That's
many
great.
people in there at all.
Are y'all's necks still hurting?
Yeah.
And then one of Michelangelo's students, he mimicked the Pietà in his own. It's smaller, and it is very similar, except he adds one more person behind Mary, and people assume it's Joseph of Arimathea because he's otter. He has all the stuff that you would use to take down a body, but we don't know who it is.
Because so there's 3 Pietas that Michelangelo did. I don't know if you know that. The first one is in St. Peter's Basilica.
Yep.
And when he did that, I believe at the age of 23, the people who saw it didn't believe that he did it. And it's the only piece of art that he ever put his name on, which is on that ribbon that goes across the chest of the Blessed Mother. The second Pietà in Florence, in the museum. That Pietà has St. John, St. Mary Magdalene in it. And John is behind the Blessed Mother, helping Mary Magdalene put Jesus in the arms of Mary. It's unfinished. It's very rough. Looks like unpolished cement. It's amazing. And I have pictures. I'll show you. I never got to see the third Pietà because that's either, I think it's in Venice, probably in Venice. And we never went to Northern Italy, but I could be wrong. So definitely in Northern Italy. But that was like the one thing I wanted to do was see the Pietà. The second Pietà we accidentally saw. So our second part of our trip, we went from Rome to Siena. We rented a car. We were going to take the train, but we knew we wanted to drive around. Driving in Europe, that was one of the things my husband really wanted to do, but to get a car and drive there. We didn't rent a Ferrari, which would have been really fun. We rented this little car called the Seat, which if you saw it, it says Seat, S-E-A-T, but everybody calls it a Seat, like a Fiat. Hysterical. And it drives like a little go-kart, but it was great. And so we rented a house in Siena. I really wanted to see church where St. Catherine of Siena was. And Siena is so beautiful and very hilly, small road. You can't find parking. We miraculously did every time we went in there. Pray the Blessed Mother. And yeah, the church where her headed, it's so dark. It was like nobody was, in that church. They have all the flags of all of the communities of Siena who race the horses in the middle, or I believe it's the spring, and they fill the entire square with dirt. And then they race horses from all the communities. Just this big, huge party that they have. And when you meet people, you ask them like what community they're from, like an aardvark or I don't know, like octopus or kangaroo or whatever. Not a kangaroo, but think, yeah, their little neighborhood are very, very territorial, It was great. So we did not go to Assisi, so I'm glad you guys told me all about that. We did go to Florence, which was just for the day, and we went all the way to the top of the dome, outside of the dome and the very, very top. It was so cool. And when you get to the very, very top of the dome, I had a little bit of vertigo. I don't know if you got that when you were at the top of the Basilica, St. Peter's, but when you're like up there so high, you're kind of, okay, I just need to hold on to something for a minute, But yeah, we did the whole 400, I think it was 15 steps.
And some of them are like
really tiny. Yes.
Less than a foot long. And
Right.
you're like going up and the walls.
Everything's curved.
It's
right.
curved in and you're just squeezed. So if you're claustrophobic,
don't do it.
Doing
Right.
it.
Right. Yeah. And then, so I got us a pass for the bell tower, the dome, and the museum. And we couldn't find a restroom anywhere. And so Keith goes, well, don't we have a pass for the museum? Let's go to the museum and use the restroom. So we did. And we were walking through the museum on the way out. And we stopped. And Keith goes, that's the second Pietà. And we just stopped. And he goes, I am so glad we had to use the bathroom. Because we didn't have enough time in Florence to do all three of those things, Anyway, then we went to go see the David. And then we went home. Thing I wanted to do most on the trip to Italy was to drive all the way to Loreto, which is on the Adriatic Sea. So on the other side of the country, we had to drive through Assisi to get there, but on the highway. And I saw the church of St. Francis as we're driving by, and I'm like, just pray for me, But it was a beautiful drive and big green hills with lots of amazing tunnels. And it was just, and then you would just come out. The Adriatic Sea is like this turquoise blue that I've just never seen the color blue before. It was just beautiful. And then we go to the cathedral at Loreto, and every place we've gone, hundreds of people, totally crowded, can't find parking, whatever. And he's worried about getting parking. And I said, just don't worry about it. It'll be fine. We parked right in front of the opening. There was tons of parking. Nobody was there. And he goes, well, what do you want to do? I said, I just want to go, and I want to go to the Blessed Mother's house. I just want to pray a rosary. Is that okay? And he goes, oh yeah, sure. And as we're walking in, we see this fighter jet that's kind of like on the front lawn. I mean, full size, real fighter jet. And it doesn't even dawn on us. We're like, okay, whatever, I don't know what that's doing here. It didn't dawn on him. It definitely dawned on me, because Our Lady of Loreto is the patron saint of those who fly, those who are afraid to fly. And so I have the medal with me that my spiritual director gave me after she passed away. And I've always had it. I've always wanted to go to Our Lady of Loreto. And so we walk through these doors of this like courtyard, and then boom, there's this big white cathedral there. And I'm just ecstatic. it took us 3.5 hours to drive there. I was really pleased that my husband was like, well, let's just go. It's only 3.5 hours, I mean, when we drive to Fairbanks, it's 6.5. So it's no big deal. Driving for us is no big deal. So we walk in and it's pretty sparse. There's a couple of people sitting in pews and there's 1 or 2 looking Franciscan monks that are getting ready to do something. And then there's this little sign. It says the house. And I'm like, oh, cool. So we go to the little line and there's like 2 or 3 people in front of us. We walk into the outside of the Blessed Mother's house is like completely ornate with, sculptures and saints and everything like that. Just beautiful. But when you go inside, it's just the plain bricks that were carried from her house. And it's only 3 walls. And when you're in there, you just touch those bricks and know that this is the house she grew up in. This is the house that her parents left her. And this is the house that her and Joseph raised Jesus in after they came back from Egypt. And they could have touched these bricks and they were in this tiny little house. And so this lady comes in, she starts lighting candles and everything. And Keith's like, oh, I think we need to leave, So we walk out of the house and around the back because I wanted to see like some of the art and everything. And there were boxes where you could put prayer intentions. And I'm like, oh, right, filling out prayer intentions for my kids and stuff. And then as soon as we came around the back side of the corner, the basilica or the cathedral, there's this gorgeous monstrance with a huge Eucharist. He squeezes my hand and he goes, we're going to adoration. And so as soon as we knelt, I heard priest up at the front altar, the Padre, the Espiritu Santo, Amen. And then they started the rosary. And I was like bawling my head off because I'm in front of the Eucharist. I went to the Blessed Mother, Jesus' house, Joseph's house, and Sister Loretta, I know, was with me. Her medal, what she wanted me to do, made it there. And he's just like very uncomfortable because I'm praying the rosary, bawling my head off. And he goes, crying. She should be happy right now, which I was totally happy. And then we're walking out and they have these bottles about this big of holy water. And he goes, do you want some holy water? I'm like, is the Pope Catholic? Yes, of course I want some holy water. So, normally I would put a couple euros in there. And he's like, I only have a 20 and a 50. I'm like, okay. So we put the money in and we're walking out. Now, this is my favorite part, is they have like these 3 guys on ladders that are buffing the outside of the spider jet, right? When they're making it all shiny and everything. And it's a little bit afternoon. It's like 1:00. And Keith goes, what's that fighter jet doing there? And I said, patron saint of those who fly. And he goes, oh, that's right. And he's like, that's so cool that they have an Italian Air Force plane right outside here, and it was just amazing. So yes, I loved going to St. Peter's and everything, but I think going to Loretto was probably like, those outside ones where, I did my bucket list thing, but I really felt so close to God there, So, Northern Italy will be the next trip. I don't know when you guys are going to be able to go, but I know in 2 years. Right, that's true. In 2 years, I'm going back to Rome for the 50th anniversary of World Youth Day. If you are interested in going with me, make sure you send us an email. Brogan, thanks for being here and listening to all of our adventures. Someday you will get there.
I will get there eventually.
Yes, you will. So, Sophia, do you want to tell us about all the things?
Oh, please subscribe, share with others, go to Rome. Check out our Facebook page, Verso Podcast. And then email us if you have any questions or attentions or any podcast ideas at versoaltapodcast@gmail.com. And
anything that you want to know about us, just go to our website at versoaltapodcast.com, .net, or .org. Either one of those work.
Okay. In the name of the Son, Holy Spirit. Amen. Hail Mary, full of grace,
Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou among women. Blessed
thy womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners now and at the hour of our death. Amen.
Saint Pier Giorgio Frassati.
Pray for us.
Well,
Holy Spirit. Amen.
Welcome to Verso Alto Podcast, a podcast for teens by teens. Today Theresa, Mari, and I are going to talk about our trips